Hi, I'm Greta. I live with my single mom on a busy Miami street. Please like and subscribe. I've always been a late bloomer. Born 2 weeks after mom's due date, took 2 years to speak my first word, and growing up, I wasn't a very social person. But my mom was so talkative. She could blabber nonstop about a burnt omelet for a whole day. But whenever I was around, I was her subject. Once when I was 4, we had a family gathering and all my aunt's sons were playing with me. Suddenly, Mom went bonkers with their parents. Look at your boys. I don't even know why they like her. You know, she still wears diapers at night. One night, I tried to train her to sleep without diapers. That was it. When I woke up, there was poop all over the room. On the floor, on the bed, on the door, on the closet, on her toys.
Ew, that's a factory of poop.
Yeah, but that's nothing. Yesterday at the grocery store,
Mama, stop. Stop this right now.
Everyone was laughing and I burst into tears and ran away. But Mom continued her story again like nothing happened. On my first day of school, Mom walked with me. As we were about to enter, she grabbed my bag from behind and there started my first class. You're a careless, stupid little girl, so keep this in mind. Stay away from making friends, 'cause you never know who's good or bad inside, especially no boys. Focus on studying. That's why you're going to school. Hear me?
Mom, let me go. If you keep talking, I'll be late for my first day at class.
I ran off, and guess what's the first thing I did in class? I made friends with Kathy, who also happened to be my neighbor. One day, I asked Kathy to join us for dinner without telling Mom, but when she turned up at our door, Mom couldn't refuse. I was so happy to have my friend over, but soon I realized what a big mistake I'd made. Hey, what's up with the ew face, madame? You only eat lobsters and caviar for dinner? So, our food isn't good enough for you? Thank God you're not beautiful, or you'd think you're the queen of the world.
Mom, she didn't say anything. Let her eat, please.
Eat? No. I can see from her rich dress and her entitled look you don't belong with her. Just go away, ugly girl. Kathy freaked out and ran away. That felt horrible. I ran after her on the road when suddenly a bus came charging straight at me. I stood frozen in horror, but Mom pulled me back just in time. Are you crazy? You could have gotten hit and gone into a coma.
At least that would feel better, Mom. You embarrassed me so much. See, I'm gonna run off somewhere. If you don't let us be friends, I swear.
Oh, you heartless girl. Do whatever you want. I just want you to be careful, 'cause you're my daughter. Ugh, I don't know if all moms are the same or if it's just her. Years went by and Kathy and I became the closest. On her 10th birthday, they had a party and I attended it with my mom. When she heard Kathy say the price of their cake was $900, she lost it. Woo-wee! Why spend so much money on a cake while she can use it for her daughter's plastic surgery? Man, Kathy is ugly.
Mom, quiet. What can Kathy do about it? She didn't create herself.
Well, she can, actually. It's the 21st century, not a big deal. I saw Kathy looking really upset as some people laughed, and her mom asked us to leave. It was so embarrassing.
Mom, stop. Are you crazy?
You hurt Kathy's feelings. And does it make you mad that her mom is a single woman like you, but she's done so well for herself? Oh, shut up, Greta. I can tell from the looks of that lady, she's not honest. And listen, I don't want you to visit their house any longer. I don't have a good feeling about them. But I couldn't dump my best friend for no good reason. The next day, I went to Kathy's house and I apologized to her for my mom's annoying behavior. Kathy was such a sweet friend that she didn't hate me for my mom, and she forgave me. Just then, I saw her mom dancing. Kathy said her mom was a famous dancer in town, and she ran a dance studio too. That's so cool, Kathy. I've always wanted to be a dancer, but you know my mom. She'd never pay for it. What if you don't need to pay? I'll speak to my mom. She'll teach you for free. That was amazing. I started going for weekend dance classes, telling Mom I was just hanging out with Kathy. Kathy's mom was teaching me some really different moves I'd never seen before, and she said it was the new trend. I I was practicing at home one night when Mom came into my room and she burst out laughing. Where did you learn that from? That's insane. OMG, I can't stop laughing. What's so funny, Mom? Clearly you have no idea about the hot trend. And I learned this from a professional dancer. Professional? What? Oh no. These moves with claps and snaps? That's not dancing, really. Enough, Mom. I'm sick of this. Just leave me alone. I pushed her out of my room and closed the door. God. Weeks later, we had a talent show. All the parents and teachers were going to be there, and I was freaking confident. I was going to get some big applause for my dance and prove my mom wrong. The moment I got on the stage and the music started, there was so much noise from the audience. Wow, they were loving it. But seconds later, they started throwing paper balls and shouting, "Out, out, 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 out." I stood frozen in shock. What? Just then I heard Mom yelling from the crowd. "I warned you about these foolish dance moves, Greta. I told you. But no, you didn't listen. See now? Why don't you ever listen to your mommy?" Seriously, Mom? I couldn't be more embarrassed. I ran home angrily. I was super mad at both my mom and Kathy's mom. How could she teach me this stupid dance? I didn't talk to my mom for days, and I stayed inside my blanket house. I'd only let my hand out of the bed to grab food from Mom. I wasn't going to forgive any of them. One morning, when I let out my hand to get food, Mom held my hand and wouldn't let go. Just let go of my hand, Mom. I don't wanna. Kathy? What are you doing here? I'm so mad at you and your mom. You guys made me a fool out there. I'm so sorry, Greta. But why are you mad at me? I didn't do anything. Who knows what my mom teaches her students? But please, don't hate me for my mom. I never hated you for yours. She sounded so true. After all, it's not her fault, and she apologized too. I called her inside my blanket house, and we started talking and laughing, and I started feeling better. Hey, I've got good news. The baseball team captain, your long-term crush, he's hosting a Halloween party tonight, and he's invited everyone at school. That includes you and me too? OMG, that's amazing. But I don't have any costumes. Well, that's why I'm here. We have to go shopping. Come on. We both got up happily and found Mom standing there with flared nostrils. What's this little devil doing here? And what's all this about going to some stupid boy's party? Kathy was about to run away, but I held her hand. Mom, were you eavesdropping? That's awesome. But listen, I'm done with all your doubts and questions. You're making me feel like I'm dumb, but I'm not. So just back off, please. Okay, fine. I'm always looking out for you, but if you think you can take care of things by yourself, I'll back off. She stormed off, and Kathy and I had a blast shopping for costumes. Later that evening, I went to the party dressed up as Wonder Woman. I was sure to impress my crush, but when I walked into his house, I stared around in horror as everyone stared at me. No one was dressed in costumes. Everyone was just dressed in their regular clothes. As everyone started laughing, the ground under my feet started to burn. I looked around for Kathy, and just then, she came laughing with the baseball team captain, and then she kissed him in front of everyone. What the what? How could my best friend do this to me? Oh, looks like some poor kitty wanted to impress my boyfriend by wearing that costume. Gosh, Greta, talk about being desperate. Does Wonder Woman have a cape? Because now would be a good time for you to fly out of this really embarrassing situation. I got so mad. I gave her a hard slap on her face and ran out with tears. When Mom saw me upset, she totally lost it. Now you're crying, huh? See? I warned you about your stupid friendship and this stupid party and stupid boys. This is what you get for choosing that stranger over your mama. Mom, shut up. Just shut up. Of course, she couldn't. She kept blabbering while I walked sadly to my room. I couldn't sleep that night thinking of what Kathy had done to me all along. I didn't go to school for days, but Mom's torture was increasing, so I had to move on. But I wouldn't even look at that witch Kathy. Then one day, the teacher announced there was going to be a food sales day where we had to cook and sell food on campus. And Kathy and I were on the same team. We were given small cooking stations, and I started cooking on my own. Kathy was standing opposite to me, staring with devil eyes. Suddenly, I looked up to see that she was gone. Where'd she go? And seconds later, someone pushed me out of my station. Mom, what are you doing here? And why are you attacking me? Before she could answer, my whole tent burst into flames. Had my mom just saved me? I hugged her and saw Kathy smiling from afar. So it's her doing again? I marched straight up to her. Did you just try to hurt me, you psycho? Why? What did I ever do to you, other than being your friend? Friend? Oh, save it. I never wanted to be your friend. It's you who wanted me by your side, so you could look prettier than what you freaking are. And I'm sick of being in your shadow. I'm tired of being the ugly one. I don't want to be ugly. I can't be ugly. Ugly? I never saw you like that. I always thought you were a sweet, nice girl. What are you talking about? Why didn't you tell me about this before? You were never in my shadow. I loved you, Kathy. Oh, shut up. I don't need your sympathy anymore. You might be prettier than me, but I'm richer. With all the money I have, I'm just a queen myself. And you will see. Oh, I doubt that last part. I must say, you're very confident for a prisoner's daughter. Yeah, babe, your mom was arrested in the morning today for a major theft. Now we know how you people were living like millionaires. You must be ashamed. What? That was unbelievable. Kathy instantly started crying and screaming and ran out of the school like crazy. I then turned to Mom. Mom, I'm so sorry. I feel like such a brat. I never really listened to you, but turns out you were right about everything. With Kathy, her mom, the dance, the party, everything. I don't know why I always took you the wrong way. I guess it's my fault too. After hearing you say that I'm making you feel dumb, I understood. Yes, that's what I've been doing. I should express myself more wisely. Some parents aren't good at expressing their emotions at times. I'm sorry too, Greta. I hugged her and we both went home. That night, we had dinner inside my blanket house after so long, and Mom started talking again about how she burnt the toast today.
The sea was lapping at the sand, and I could hear the waves roaring as they hit the shore. Birds tweeted and called around me while I walked down the beach on that warm, sunny morning. Everything was peaceful and tranquil, as it always was when I took my morning walk, until suddenly it wasn't. When I bent down to pick up a pretty piece of coral, my golden retriever, named Rufus, suddenly flew forward, snatching his lead out of my hand as he bolted ahead of me. I called his name so many times, but he didn't come back. All of a sudden, he stopped and started staring down at something in the sand. He was snuffling and moving pebbles around with his nose. Then he started barking loudly, and I was totally lost. I didn't understand why my dog was barking like a madman. I pinched myself just to check if I was dreaming, since it seemed totally bizarre. Rufus was usually such a good boy. I didn't understand why he was disobeying me all of a sudden. It wasn't like this was an unusual thing for us to do. We went to the beach twice a day for walks every day. We would always walk down the sand together while I collected any pretty shells I found along the way. You see, I did this because my mom and I were desperate for any extra cash we could get. So I started to make jewelry, which I could then sell at the local market every Sunday. But we were already almost finished with our walk, and I'd barely found anything good enough for us to use yet. It was really disappointing, and I didn't have time to deal with whatever issue Rufus suddenly decided to have. So I ran forward and grabbed him by the collar. "What the hell, Rufus?" I asked before I looked down and noticed why he was acting so freaky. There was something huge poking out from the sand that Rufus had dug up. At first, I just wanted to pull him away and go home because it stunk so bad. It was like vomit mixed with garbage. I had to pinch my nose to keep me from barfing. "Come on, Rufus, let's go," I told him as I tried to tug him away again, but he wouldn't budge. I sighed and shook my head. I moved away from the awful smell and decided to just let him have his fun and take him back once he got bored. But as time went on, Rufus didn't give up, and I really wanted to get home. "Fine, you win," I told him as I walked back over to him. I decided to take it home with us so that Rufus could play with it, and I could get back and get on with my homework. So I took off my jacket and wrapped up the awful-smelling rock. It was stupidly heavy, though, and I could barely lift it. But eventually, I managed to tuck it into my bag. As soon as Rufus saw that I had the mysterious gray thing, he ran up to me and finally I was able to get home. I didn't think too much about the rock after that. I stuck it out in our backyard, where Rufus continued to sniff it and try to play with it for the rest of the day. But after that, it was pretty much gone from my head. It didn't help that I had far worse things to worry about. Because 6 months earlier, my dad had left my mom for another woman. He moved across the country, and we hadn't heard from him since. My mom and I couldn't really afford the rent on my childhood home, so we were selling everything we owned to try and get the money every month. But we were running out of things to sell. The day after Rufus and I found that strange rock on the beach, my mom showed me a letter that made my blood run cold. It was an eviction notice. I couldn't believe it. My heart felt like it shattered into a million pieces. Not only had I lost my father, but now I was losing my home. My whole world felt like it was falling apart. Everything happened so quickly then. My mom and I had to pack up the little belongings we had left and found a shelter that had room to take us in. I know it seems stupid, but I brought the rock with me since my dog had been so fond of it. So all I had left in the world was my mom, my dog, some clothes, and this stupid rock. The shelter wasn't exactly amazing, but it was nice to have a roof over our heads and somewhere comfortable to sleep. It beat sleeping on the streets, that's for sure. The people there were super weird, though. A lot of them clearly had mental health problems that they weren't getting any help for. Sometimes I woke up in the night to hear them screaming. But one day, an old man with a horrible cough stumbled into our room in the morning and stood there just staring down at my dog. I was super freaked out and cuddled up to my mom, waiting for him to leave, but he didn't. "What are you staring at?" I asked him. He pointed down at the rock my dog was curled up with. I couldn't believe that was what he was looking at. It was so stupid. I laughed. As a joke, I asked if he wanted to buy it from me. Straight away, the man's eyes lit up and he started nodding. I thought he was just another crazy homeless guy. So I laughed, and my mom did too, until he started getting angry at us. He started telling us that he wanted it, and he pulled money from his pocket, trying to hand it over to us. It was strange that he was so insistent, and that he had so much money at a homeless shelter. I asked him who he was, and he said he was there to visit someone. I was surprised. He wasn't a crazy, homeless man after all, and he was really interested in my dog's weird rock. "I'll give you $500 for it," he told me, and I had to stop my jaw from dropping. "How about 1,000? I replied, thinking I would scare him off or he would stop teasing me. The man nodded and started pulling more cash out of his wallet. I couldn't believe my eyes. This wasn't a joke, and that man was really trying to buy the rock for $1,000. What did he know about the rock that I didn't? It was getting creepy and weird, so I ended up telling the guy to leave. He protested at first and told me I should take the money since I was homeless. I almost caved right then and there. After all, $1,000 could get us an apartment for a month together, but something just didn't feel right. I needed to find out what on earth this rock was, and fast. So I packed it in my bag one day and took it over to my friend Joe's house. He's a bit of a science geek, and he knows a lot about the ocean. I thought maybe he could help me, but when I took it out, Joe didn't have the faintest clue about what it might be. We checked his books about the sea for a while and tried to identify whether it was some kind of precious stone or gem, but it didn't match anything we found. Feeling sad and hopeless, I went back to the shelter, and I had the biggest shock ever. My mom was sat in the middle of the room, crying and hugging my dog. Everything in our room had been torn apart, tipped over and ripped. Our beds were covered in feathers, and our clothes were strewn across the room. I just didn't understand what happened, and my mom was too upset to explain anything. One of the wardens at the shelter came to check on us and help us get everything back to the way it was. Well, at least as much as they could. When I asked them what had happened while I was gone, they said that it looked like we had been robbed. I was so confused. Why would anyone rob us? We were living in a shelter. We wouldn't be here if we had any money. The warden said that people can get desperate, and maybe they thought we had something worth selling, and that's when it hit me. It had to be the strange rock, right? There was just no other explanation. I needed to find out more. So I went back to Joe and asked him to hide the rock at his house for me while I investigated. I didn't want to risk it getting stolen. Joe agreed, and we started to delve deeper into the internet. Joe ended up searching for similar stories to mine in local newspapers, and what we found changed. Joe said that every few years, people have found horrible smelling rocks in the sand, which have been worth a lot of them. We found a picture of a woman holding one that was way smaller than mine, and it said that her sold for $10,000. Apparently, it was called ambergris. It was actually whale vomit. Ew! I couldn't believe I'd been carrying around whale vomit. It was so bizarre. That's when I started to think that it had to be some kind of joke. But when Joe showed me the proof, I almost fainted. Joe and I decided to contact some businesses online to get an estimate for what it was worth, since we had such a huge release. Lots of people came from all over the state to inspect it. After a few days, I started getting crazy offers to buy a mysterious rock. One person offered $300,000. Then the next offered $400,000. Joe and I were absolutely shocked. I didn't know what to do. This sort of money would change my life. I felt rushing in. I told them I needed to think about it. I wanted to tell my mom, but I didn't want her to get her hopes up, and I thought maybe it would be a nice surprise for her. As I was entering the shelter that night, I was confronted by the strange old man again. This time, however, he didn't want to talk. He ran straight for me and grabbed my bag. He ripped it off my arm and searched inside. "Where is it, little girl?" he snapped. I knew he wanted the ambergris, and I was so glad I'd left it at Joe's to keep it safe. "I've sold it. You'll never get it," I told him. That's when he went crazy. He surged forward and tried to grab me. I screamed and closed my eyes, but nothing happened. After a few seconds, I opened my eyes to see something amazing. Rufus had run out and jumped on the old man, knocking him unconscious. He had protected me from him. I raced toward him and hugged him close. I told him he was such a good boy, and I really meant it. Right from the start, Rufus had been looking after me, and he'd even found a way for Mom and me to make the money we needed to be secure again. The shelter called the police after I told them I was almost assaulted. The man was taken away and told he was never allowed in the shelter again. I was so relieved, but I still had the ambergris to sell. The next day, I decided I wanted to get it over and done with. I checked my emails, and just as I was about to accept the offer for $400,000, my phone beeped. It was another email from a perfume company. They wanted to buy the rock for $500,000! I couldn't believe it! I cried with happiness and accepted. So,